When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working it.
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital? Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show? Do you enjoy talking about the show with others? Do you find yourself yelling at the TV? Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles? If so, we invite you to join hosts Amanda Kimmel and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed. Meet us at Pier 54, a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello!
Hi!
Welcome to the General Hospital recap for May 11th through 15th, 2026. We have a few Port Charles pipelines. First, Joss and Ethan. Hello. From Tasha in New York, Ethan and Joss are cousins. Yes, we addressed that last week.
Yep.
There's nothing else to say. They are.
Oh, that was it. All right. Well,
like that's...
I mean, thank you. You were on it, but so was everybody else because we were stupid.
But we fixed that stupidity last week.
We did.
Sherry, Port Charles Pipeline. My theory on baby Phoebe, I think Ethan was helping Delilah escape a bad relationship. To me, it feels like him burning the picture was making sure she couldn't be traced back to him. And that's kind of what I said. I was like, they didn't want to have photos of each other on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that the baby daddy doesn't find Phoebe. I don't know. After this week, I feel like he's baby daddy.
Yeah, whatever he asked Kristina.
Yeah. Also, I was under the impression PCPD had been looking for relatives to contact and haven't found anyone. If Ethan was her dad, you would think that him, Lucky, Carly, and so on should all have their DNA on file. Oh, girl, I have that same thought about somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Rocco. You'd think that Dante's DNA would not be in Codis or Lulu's.
Yeah, right.
That's where, wait. Okay, Britt was surrogate. How does the surrogate, I'm going to sound really stupid right now, but you know where I'm going with it.
I know exactly what you're asking. I don't know. What?
DNA? Hold on. All right, we're looking this up. I mean, it's their body does baby have surrogate DNA? Oh, hold on. Gestational surrogacy. The surrogate does not share DNA with the baby. The embryo was created using the intended parent or donor's egg and sperm, meaning the child is genetically related only to those individuals.
But how does that work with blood type?
That's what I was that's where I was going with that.
I knew that like genetic DNA, it has nothing to do with the surrogate, but I don't understand how you grow something in you if you have a different blood type and they don't end up with your blood type.
Right.
But I guess that could just be science.
I mean, science does do that weird stuff, but you were thinking the same thing I was, because I'm like, wait a second, the incubator does matter,
right.
You know? Oh, speaking of which, that was actually something so last week we talked about episiotomies and epidurals and stuff like that, and about like wishing mom happy Mother's Day and stuff, like, you know, go look it up if you don't know what it is. I also want to address that C-section is 100,000% just as, I even hate to say the phrase acceptable, because it shouldn't even be an issue, that, you know, sometimes it's not seen as a quote natural way to have a baby. To me, in my personal opinion, if the baby comes out, it's natural.
I don't think I would use the word natural. I would use like barbaric. They slice open multiple layers. Like,
well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, if anything, I'm like, if your mom had a C-section, go look that up and give her extra hugs and extra love, because she's 7 layers peeled back while they're awake.
Right. If we're really going to try to like rate that experience, like one means more than the other.
The thing is that I was not. And as I was listening to the show, so my mom had 4 C-sections. I didn't realize that until I was pregnant with my son that it could be seen as, I just assumed that
Right.
my mom
The way
had
that we
4
look at
C-sections.
you.
I was going to have a C-section. And everyone's like, why? Are you okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, my mom had, like, my aunts and everything. Yeah. In my opinion, as long as it is safe for mom and baby,
Right.
as long as the baby comes out,
Right. It
that is
doesn't
the safest
it
way.
doesn't matter in what manner you get the baby, how it comes out of your body, or if someone else carried it and it came out of their body.
Yes.
As long as if it's your baby in whatever word that means to you, your mom, hope you had a great Mother's Day. But yeah, whenever people try to undermine C-sections, I have not had one, thank God. But yeah, if we're trying to rank it, that to me should be a higher
Guys,
ranking
also,
than
Amanda basically didn't have pain during hers. I'm just going to share your story there. So we just don't like her to begin with. Okay.
Sorry.
She's not saying thank God. Like, I mean, she just,
Yeah,
she's
I'm
poked
saying
them out.
thank God because I had a super easy with all 4 of mine, thank goodness. Some were a little more painful than the others, but not that bad. But the idea of someone slicing me open, removing half of my insides, pulling a baby out, jamming everything back in there, and then being like, here, stand up and take care of your baby hours later sounds
Yeah.
like torture to me. So, yeah,
it
no,
is.
if I don't respect moms based on that, but if I was supposed to, the C-section moms would absolutely have more respect than natural or however.
It was just, and nobody wrote in about it. So thank you on that too. But it was just, as I was listening on Monday, it popped in my head that could have possibly, I know I say a lot of stupid stuff, but like that is absolutely something that
I think our listeners know us well enough to know that we wouldn't mean something negatively
talking- yeah.
like that. We love all moms, no matter how you got your babies. So there is no better way. But yeah. I know
go
from
get your mom a car if she had a C-section.
right, exactly. Like, ow, no, thank
That's
you.
what they need to make those stupid Lexus commercials about with the big ribbon over it.
Right.
For that Christmas morning.
Oh man.
All right. Anyway, we were in the middle of something. Oh, we were talking about Ethan and the surrogate thing. Yeah.
Yeah, what the blood type the baby would be.
Yeah.
The blood type stays the biological parents. Does it specify that? Yeah.
Yes. It said the sperm and the egg.
Got it.
So.
That magical biology.
Listen, I did really well with neuroscience, not necessarily reproductive science. Okay. Okay. From Louise, hola, my lovelies. My bad. I thought I wrote the translation of hasta luego, which means see you later. I actually knew that one. It was the Bella whatever, but I couldn't. Okay, let me go find it actually. Because why didn't I just look that up last week when I was reading her 411? I don't know. You didn't tell us what you put in your mom's basket.
Yeah.
That's personal. It really, whatever you did, you made your mom a basket, and that's amazing.
Right.
Bella's does. No, it's just beauty. Oh,
that's so sweet.
I had a feeling it was that because like Ciao Bella and Belle is French
Right.
and Bella is Italian, so I had a feeling, but that's you're so sweet. I think that probably our age group knows like the hasta la vista,
right,
hasta luego because of 80s and 90s TV. But I appreciate the fact that you clarified.
Oh, I watched. Wait. Just because you said us 80s, 90s babies, I watched an 80s movie this week, so you should be proud of me because I haven't seen most of those. So I watched The Outsiders.
You've never seen that before?
I have now.
Oh my gosh.
Madeline is reading the book in school, and so she wanted to watch it, and so we watched it, and then today they had dress up as your favorite character from it, and you got 5 bonus points, so she dressed up. So I guess that could have been part of more like reality check, but you just rolled us into it by talking about 80s, 90s, and since you're on me all the time for not watching 80s movies, I didn't want to forget to tell you.
Well, it's funny because like JD has been leaving on like just one of those soft rock channels. Like when he comes home, he turns on the record player stereo thing that we have, and it's just always on. It's Wish 99.7 in Pittsburgh.
I love Wish.
It's just great. And she's like, the wind was on, and we always play Name That Tune. And I was like, do you know who sings this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're just gonna sit here because I wanted him. There is in no way that he even sounds like him. And so I waited until the song was over, and he's like, who was that? I'm like, Patrick Swayze. And he's like, Patrick Swayze could sing? I'm like, sure did. Aww.
That's the best soundtrack ever. Dirty Dancing was the best soundtrack.
He bought me the vinyl.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Yep, as a random gift too. It was,
Nice.
he saw it and he was like, "Aw, I'm gonna get her the vinyl." I think the vinyl's actually purple too.
Oh, that's cute. I have the CD somewhere. An ex-boyfriend bought it for me.
Okay, from Karis. It was Curtis, not Jordan. Hello, my wonderful peer people. Just listening to today's episode, Real Safe Grandma. Thank you for referencing which episode you're listening to, because sometimes I do feel bad. I feel like people might be behind.
Right.
I need to gently correct the conclusion that the accident was caused by Jordan. I'm going to agree to disagree on this one. Curtis is adamant about pursuing Isaiah because he caused this. He leaned over to kiss Jordan, distracting her and causing her to lose control. While Jordan knew better, she was responding to the one man besides Sonny who refuses accountability for his actions. Okay, I'm not going to disagree on that one. Absolutely agree with everything else, but I'm at my wit's end with Curtis being a belligerent toad. Belligerent toad. I think that's my favorite.
I like that. We're going to have to refer to him as that for the rest of the
especially
podcast.
This week. Thanks for hearing my rant, and I'll see you at the pier. Here's the deal. She was the driver.
She was the driver, and I think
she took her eyes off.
Over, didn't she?
Right. Okay, so she looked at him longingly, and he leaned over. However, she is the driver. He didn't jump in front of her face and pull her towards him.
No.
She chose to move her face and turn her face away from. Did he tempt her? Yeah, but
she's responsible. Right. Like you
she went into it.
Maintain control of your own vehicle. It's like if the person in front of you stops short, even though you're like, man, you shouldn't have stopped short, and then you hit them, it's your fault for not keeping a legal distance.
Correct. So I understand that Curtis was the source of her distraction, but she took her eyes off the road. It's not like he grabbed her face and pulled her in towards a kiss. She willingly and knowingly turned her face towards him, leaned in to kiss him while driving.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, they're both at fault. You know, between the two, he and Isaiah, well, other than the fact that we know that it was not Isaiah, but even if Isaiah had been driving the other car.
Right. It's no one. Two. The only people responsible were the people in that car that crashed because they were the ones that were not paying attention to the road. Isaiah, Brook Lynn, some third person that we haven't even talked about yet that I'm sure will be next week because we're just dragging this on forever. Oh. It's not their fault. They swerved to avoid an accident they didn't realize that you hit.
Right. Because the driver did not have their eyes on the road and did not have control of their vehicle.
Right.
It would be the same thing as if Jordan were driving drunk and Curtis were sober.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jordan's fault. It's not. Jordan wasn't drinking, so I'm not saying that she was, but I'm just saying that
right.
She was in control of her actions.
Agreed.
And also, we talked about this on our mother-daughter fan spotlight. But if you are in the Pittsburgh area, or if you want to come to the Pittsburgh area, August 22nd for SNAP SNAPP Out Hunger with Rena Sofer and Vanessa Marcel is August 22nd. Let us know. We would love to get a group of people together. They do have an event on, if you just really Google like Rena Sofer Pittsburgh, Rena Sofer, Vanessa Marcel Pittsburgh, the Eventbrite comes up, the Facebook group comes up, the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank comes up. Just let us know because we would love to get a group of people together. It is $150, but 100% of the funds raised from Snap Out Hunger will go to the following animal friends and the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank.
That's awesome.
So SNAP stands for Spotlighting Necessary Aid for People and Pets.
Cute.
And we're still trying to figure out which Jonathan we're going to. I think that even though New Jersey would be fantastic, I think that it's the furthest. Right? That was 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now with gas prices, I'm sorry, we're going to probably choose the half the distance one.
That makes sense.
Yep. It's too bad it wasn't this month because I actually have a Delta companion ticket.
Aw, that
I have to use by the end of May.
Oh, man.
Yep. Guess what we did not use for Cancun?
Oh, man.
It was my first year ever having one. I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, I have tried to figure our 15th wedding anniversary is next week. I'm like, man, we should just really try to figure out somewhere to go.
Right.
But no. All right. You have anything fun or
I do
depressing?
not. No.
Okay, good. Okay, good for the not depressing. The upcoming 411, we just have to stop saying what we're going to do ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Because we tend to change
Change
our
a lot.
minds. Yeah. But I feel like this one is a very good reason. We're going to discuss Chase and Willow because there's probably a good amount of people who have no idea of their history.
Although they might be happier that way.
Yeah. I don't know because I was all about Chase and Willow staying together and I'm hating this.
Right. That's what I mean you might be better not knowing how cute they were and seeing what they've now turned into because
Yeah. I thought you meant just like you might be okay with it. And it's like, no.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Not for me.
No.
All right. So for Hulu headlines, on Monday, Nina warns Willow. Lulu is in the hot seat. On Tuesday, Lulu seeks out Britt. And Dante has words with, we are now doing quotes around Nathan.
Oh, okay.
On Wednesday, Willow meets with Sidwell.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure he was going to like lock her in the basement, not knowing that Nathan had put Josslyn there.
She had her power suit on, so she was in charge.
Oh, and I did notice the eyeliner.
See?
Yeah, but you know that my daughter does that, and she's not evil.
True.
I'm not saying that anyone who does, are they bat wings or cat eyes? I don't even know. Cat eyes?
I think it's supposed to be I think it's cat eyes whenever you're saying that they're cute. It's bat wings whenever you're saying that they're not. I also think that it's kind of an age thing. Your daughter is substantially younger than Willow and
her fashion sense lends to it. She's not.
If Willow was doing that and she was going to the Savoy to see the Michael perform, that to me would have been 100% appropriate. The fact that she's wearing it during the day is what my problem with it is. To me, that's a nighttime look if you're over. And I'm not saying anyone has to follow me because God knows I am not a fashionista in any way, but just personal preference. If I was going out for the evening in a fancy dress, then put a little cat eye, be a little scandalous with it. But if it's, a random Tuesday that you're working at the supermarket, do you really need a cat eye? But if it makes you happy,
it also depends on
whatever.
The whole look though too, because my daughter has it on from the moment she wakes up. Well, she puts it on first thing in the morning, but I don't know. That girl can pull off plaid and polka dots together. So she's just an anomaly. Anyway, and then Curtis worries about Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
On Thursday, Britt weighs her options and Tracy is outraged.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Friday, Carly stonewalls Cullum and Valentin strategizes. Did he?
What's that strategizing? He kind of stated the obvious, but okay, sure.
He stared off into the distance and listened.
Well, I'm assuming that's them talking about leaving Joss, but is that really strategizing or it's just making an observation?
Oh, wait, no, that was Friday. I was going to say earlier in the week he was strategizing.
Yeah. No.
So where are we starting?
I don't know. What jumps out at you?
I have been starting with Valentin the past 3 weeks.
Well, that's because you're in love with him, so it's an appropriate place to start.
It's not my fault that he has been well written the past few. Although it was funny because JD was listening as I was editing the mother-daughter interview, and I go into JD's not as romantic as Valentin, and he's in the kitchen. I'm sitting on the love seat in the living room, and he just perks his head up and he looks. I was like, just listen. And he's like, so you're saying I should shave my beard and just grow a mustache? I'm like, no, we're saying do not just have a mustache. I'm saying the whole thing works, not just a little bit. All right. So we can start with, they keep saying Willow's house. It's Drew's house.
It's Drew's house.
They're married, but it was Drew's house before Willow moved in with him. So I feel like it's weird, especially where Drew is still there, for them to keep saying Willow's house.
Mm-hmm.
So they're at Drew's house. Drew is still in the other room listening. Oh, he's moving his hands and he tries to knock over the phone. Oh, that happened later. Okay, we'll just stick with that part though. And he's trying to call 911.
Yes.
I was so mad. It did not work. It's not even so much that we really have to talk about Valentin as much as how annoying Nina was. She's crying to Brennan. I didn't mean for this to happen, blah, blah. I really do think that it was just whoever was closest to her was going to be the one that got stabbed based on her reaction, because I feel like in that moment, if she had meant for it to be Valentin, she would have said,
Yes, it
I
should have
meant
been
for this
you.
to be you. Yeah. But correct my memory if I'm wrong. Was Brennan laying on his stomach or on his side?
He was on. He kind of started like melting to the ground, and they helped him on his side. And then
Okay.
she said for Valentin to help her roll him over on his
Right.
back.
Right. She couldn't roll him over on his back from his side.
I guess not.
What kind of a weak person is she? Like that's an easy one. I'm sorry. She's
I agree.
she is otherwise, from what we know, perfectly healthy, capable.
Uh-huh.
She's like, can't move him. Anyway, then she calls 911 and says that she doesn't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And Valentin is just like, okay, let me know if he dies. Bye.
I didn't
And
like that we never saw her move the syringe. So she took the syringe out and then set it on they had like a thing that jetted out. She set it there and had the whole conversation. We never saw her move it. I really wanted one of the paramedics to be like, well, could this have caused it?
well, and which paramedic was it?
What's his name? Does he have a name now?
John.
John? Was that it? Okay.
I think it was John because we commented on the fact that his name was John on it.
I just remember saying he was the hot paramedic and he needed a name, but then I couldn't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, it's John.
John. All right. Well, John, you should have picked up on that syringe sitting there and asked some questions.
Yep.
I did like that everyone was quick to jump on, Liz was first. It's odd that two men in the same house suddenly had strokes when they were otherwise perfectly healthy. And I loved that Carly played it the other direction and was like, maybe it's like mold or something they have in there, but it's not safe for my grandchildren.
Yep. Well, the thing is, when she was telling Brennan, Nina, when she was telling Brennan back at the house, I didn't mean for this to happen. You picked up a toy truck, picked up a syringe,
jammed it into someone's back.
If you didn't, you know what she also could have done? She could have picked up the toy truck and hit him over the head.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing. She 100% meant to paralyze one of the two of them.
Absolutely.
But she talked Liz through what happened at the house. And Liz was kind of like, so just out of nowhere, he just collapsed. She's like, that's kind of weird. Two guys within 3 months just have random strokes at Willow's house.
Right.
And okay. And kind of back to the same thing that we said with Drew. Are they really not going to see these puncture wounds? Especially with Brennan, because he was moving about. You know, Drew, she had the opportunity to be more careful with her placement and everything.
Right.
Brennan was a stab in his back shoulder.
Right. And it didn't even look like it was like straight in. You would think that the skin was like puckered a little or something from the way that she went in.
I bruise very easily-ish. Like, I would find it very hard to believe that Brennan's not going to have something. But then Nina called Willow and was like, Brennan, cook something tonight. He wasn't supposed to. And Drew didn't get his weekly dose.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised Willow even picked up, though, because she was a little too busy on her run. It was the perfect setup. Like, Michael needs those pictures. You couldn't ask for much more, like, starting out this investigation. Her in her little sports bra and cute little running shorts, and Chase without his shirt on, and they're embracing on the park bench, talking about
talking about his hot dad bod, and if he's eating donuts and still looks that way, he's doing something right.
Right?
I don't think she said hot dad bod, sorry.
No, but she might as well have, because he was like, now that I'm back at work, I'm eating Eckards every morning, and as delicious as they are, I can't afford to do that to my body. And she was like, oh, please, if that's what your body still looks like after donuts. Yeah. Not disagreeing with her, but it's not appropriate to say to someone else's husband.
No. And then he's like, I'm just so worried or we need your help. You know, he even said, he's like, oh, I was hoping you'd be here.
Right. That totally makes it a fair, like, you should not know her schedule or her outside hobbies that well.
Unless, did they used to go running together?
I don't think so.
But, like, we've never heard of them. Oh, yeah, whenever I see you running in the morning, or in the evening,
Right.
at the park or whatever. But, he's talking to her about how they might need help with being able to finally adopt Phoebe. And he's worried that it's going to look like they are using their privilege to cut the adoption line. That is what you're doing.
Right. It's not going to look like that. That's factual.
And how does she have this many connections 1 month in to being a congresswoman?
Right.
Those relationships take time to build. I'm sorry, I am like a queen of networking. If you show up to a business meeting with just business cards and the first meeting you expect to get business out of, it's not going to work.
Right.
You have to build the relationship. It's not like BNI where you're expected to pass referrals and everything. Congress doesn't owe, she doesn't owe anything to Chase, and nobody in Congress owes her, she doesn't have anything.
Nope.
She has nothing to offer anyone. She has no connections.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that every relationship should be transactional and everything, but it comes with the relationships that, you find out, oh, so-and-so is involved in XYZ. Maybe they can give us some guidance. There hasn't been time for that yet. She's just like, oh yeah, I can totally pull strings. Well, that's shady.
Right. It's like whenever we see Michael do his business dealings, he has spent years building relationships with these other businesses. So it makes sense that he can call in a favor or ask for someone's help or something. Right. But she's like, I've been here a month, so surely everyone wants to help me. No?
Right. The first time I call a contractor, they are not going to bend over backwards to help one of my clients. Mm-mm. If I have worked with them for years and we have done good business together, yeah. If I say, is there any way you can squeeze me in to take a look at XYZ? Right. Most of the time, if they can, they will. Not the first time I call them.
No.
And being like, excuse me, who are you? Oh.
And she just keeps going on and on about, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to help you. You can call me for anything. And I'm like, no, if I was Brook Lynn, I would be so uncomfortable with this situation. And why are you guys meeting
and
up?
The thing is, Brook Lynn has no idea.
Right.
And that's what makes this already so inappropriate.
Not that I want to see Brook Lynn heartbroken again, but it would be really ironically funny if they got through this process and got to end game and it turned around and someone was like, I'm sorry, we can't approve this because you were using connections from the congresswoman. And Brook Lynn's like, Chase, what are they talking about? That was way back at the beginning. And then they point out, oh no, we had her make, she made all these other phone calls that Brook Lynn didn't know about. And that's the reason that they lose Phoebe.
Yeah, exactly. Brook Lynn needs to be 100% in the loop.
Yep.
This is more about her life than Willow's.
Right. And she's keeping Chase in on everything. She ran into Alexis at the park and had that initial conversation. She said 4 times during that conversation, I'll have to talk to Chase, but I'm almost positive we're on the same page. As soon as I get home, I'll talk to Chase. And then she went and talked to Chase and looped him into the conversation. And then he's been at every meeting since then.
Yep. And going straight to Willow instead of Brook Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Then we found out that it was Michael that hired Elaine to take
because I was so confused at first when it was showing the pictures were being taken. I'm like, what would Sidwell be using this for? I don't understand who's taking pictures. And then whenever we finally saw that it was Michael, I was like, oh, okay. I did know we were doing this. I just didn't realize already and that's how it was going to be started.
Yeah. And Elaine says they are well on their way to having an affair.
Yep.
Then when Willow finally gets to the hospital, she basically tells Nina that if she isn't careful, she's going to incriminate both of them. I feel like Willow's going to wind up doing something to Nina.
I think she might. She was so cold about all of it because Nina starts saying how she brought him in and so she needs to stay there. And she's like, no, you have no relationship to Brennan. And so it's suspicious that you're hanging around here. And then Nina keeps talking and she's like, that is not appropriate to discuss here. She's cutting her off with every line that she wants to say and is just going on about how people are going to put this together and now we're going to have to get Drew out of his coma so that people want to talk about that instead of 2 comas at the same, or not 2 comas, 2 strokes at the same time and whatever.
But if they bring, if he comes out of it,
that's just as
it's
fishy.
going to refresh what happened to him.
Right.
It's not going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. That just happened. It's like, oh no, now he can walk again. Oh wait, what happened to him? Oh wait, the same thing that just happened to that guy in her house too?
Yeah.
Oh, but the landline almost saved Drew's life.
It almost did. It almost did. I was
Almost. And
surprised.
then Willow made it home. I was so mad about that.
You knew she was going to, and she walked straight into the room. I was hoping maybe that he would be able to move his hand away, like, oh, I was just sitting here perfectly, and she wouldn't notice and go take a shower or something, and that would give him some more opportunity. But she came right
Oh,
in.
no, she knew as soon as what was it? When Nina said, I forgot to give Drew, because she knows that he's on his way out of it.
Right.
And I think that's what you were saying about last week was he must be like making movements and everything because she was so adamant about, no, it has to happen at a certain time.
Right. Cannot give him the chance to heal even a little bit more. So she walked in, she saw that phone was knocked over instantly. And I was like, oh, poor Drew. Who would have seen this coming? Rooting for Drew.
You know what? I thought about that a lot this week because I also feel like it's probably, I hate the phrase normal, but I feel like this is a actually normal reaction for us to be having is, yeah, all the bad stuff that he did before and everything. But right now he is in a very vulnerable, helpless state.
Right.
And this isn't cool. He was a jerk to no end, but.
Right. I thought that he deserved, because we're talking about Soap World, deserved to be shot, but I did not think that he deserved to be put in the coma.
That.
I am. So I don't want that right in. Like, everyone watch out for Amanda. She's just going to randomly start taking people out. No, for Soap World, he deserved to be shot. I do not think that he deserved to be put in to have a stroke. I keep saying coma. He started in a coma and then went to it was a stroke.
Yeah.
Cullum went to see Brennan and was like, first he talked to Nina and he was like, so do you want to tell me about what happened? And she was like, I don't know. He was just standing there and then all of a sudden he like went down and I'm not sure what happened, but there's the doctor. You should go talk to him. Like, she did not want any part of it. And then he goes and sees Brennan and he like smacks Brennan on the head first to see if he's actually
like flicking his forehead and everything.
Right. To see if he's actually unconscious or not. And when Brennan makes no movement, then he's like, well, a stroke may have actually saved your life because I was just figuring out how I was going to take you out.
Yep.
And then I'll stick with Cullum, even though I hate him. Cullum, did he go to Carly's? No, he went to Dante's first, right?
Well, you missed where he talked to Lucas. And Lucas was very much, I can't tell you anything because HIPAA. And Cullum's like, yeah, so when people basically join the WSB, they sign, basically Cullum has like proxy.
Right.
Over, I thought that I wrote it down because he said that it was just basically like a healthcare directive, So Lucas was able to tell him what was going on with Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's what he did immediately after.
Talking to Nina?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's who Nina pointed him to. And then I think that's when he went to see Brennan. But then I think when he left, Brennan I think the next time after that we saw was when he was talking with. Oh, no.
Oh, he went
to see Sidwell. And then he went to Sidwell after Willow left because Willow went to Sidwell and was saying about how, yeah, so Brew didn't get his medicine and now Brennan's in the hospital. And because Lucas had been there. Lucas was there too. Yeah, we just jumped all over the place.
We did.
Was at Wyndemere. He walked in on Sidwell looking at pictures of Marco. And then he and Sidwell talked about how Sidwell said something about how, he's so thankful that he had that last year with him. And Lucas is like, yeah, and he said that Marco didn't even want to have the interview with Miller and Davis, but he did it just to humor Sidwell. And then when he found out that Lucas lives in Port Charles, he decided to stay. And Lucas felt bad. And he's like, if it wasn't for me, Marco would be alive. And then Sidwell brings up that he just can't get past. He thinks that if Marco were any other person's kid, that the PCPT would be further along. Lucas is kind of reassuring that, no, it really has nothing to do with you. Like, I know these people, they're definitely looking into it. It has nothing to do with you. But and then Sidwell brings up that he just can't get past that Marco was so close to his person that he stabbed, that he allowed him to be in that proximity of the person to be able to be stabbed. And then that's when Willow showed up and she was like, oh, I just wanted to come talk about the helipad. which, okay, for once, kind of made sense because of her position, that she
Right.
might be there to talk to him about it.
Yes.
But then she asked him if he had heard about Brennan, and he loses it on her.
That was great.
But she doesn't throw Nina under the bus. She says that she didn't give Drew the shot and that she was there when Brennan. So she didn't say that Nina was the one that was there with Brennan. She said
No.
that she was. And she suggests that they stop drugging Drew. And she really thought that she like had control over Sidwell somehow. And oh, did he put terror into her?
That was beautiful. She's
It
like,
was
so
best.
we're just gonna stop doing this, and then everything can go back to normal because people will focus more on the recovery than on what happened to him, and that will like give them a new direction. And he got so close to her and was like, I'm not sure when you thought that you were running this show, that you tell me what to do, but I am in charge and you will listen to me. And I was like, oh, as much as I hate you, good job, because
It was fantastic.
Willow's getting crazy on her power trip.
Because then Cullum visited Sidwell after Willow left and found out about Brennan, how he wound up being in the coma. And Cullum's like, well, then he can't come out of it. Oh, and then that's when he went back to the hospital, saw Nina, asked about Brennan, talked to Lucas. And we learned that Jack actually has no family.
Right.
Mm,
That's convenient.
yeah.
Cullum also went and saw Turner, or happened to see Turner having drinks with
No,
Sonny.
he asked her there. That's what she said. She's like, you asked to meet me here. Yep.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're right. He showed up and Sonny was already sitting at the table, and he was like, I can't believe that you're hanging out with this criminal in such a public place and not caring. And she was like, whatever, I got here early and he was here early. You're the one that asked me to meet in a public place because you didn't want to meet at my office. And then he goes on to tell her that he wants all of the information that the PCPD has on his shooting. And she's like, need I remind you that I don't work for the PCPD? You'll need to contact them. I can't get anything for you. And anything that wasn't done correctly is because your organization just swooped in and took over and hauled Jason off without a proper investigation. And he tried to throw his weight around, and she was beautiful and was like, really, maybe this is the perfect time for me to get the case that I've always wanted, where I can blow it wide open that the WSB is not following protocol and just strong arming their way into whatever they think is right. And that shut him down for a minute. And
Very quickly.
he walked away then, and that's whenever he ended up then talking to Dante and was like, hey, Dante, I need this information. But Dante had already got rid of the information, and so he was just kind of like, yeah, so it's around here somewhere. I'll get it whenever I can. It's lost in our warehouse. It was misfiled, and it's a disaster down there, so I'll have to get it to you. And he was like, I don't believe you. And I just love Dante's like, don't really care if you believe me. I'm telling you, and it's my department, so whatever.
Yeah.
I'm glad that people are finally understanding how awful Cullum is and kind of giving him the runaround, because he does not deserve all the power that he has either.
No. Well, and I think that Dante's probably going to be, I think that Dante and Britt are actually going to wind up teaming up.
Oh, that would be good.
I think that, so we saw Dante, I think we ended last week where Dante was going to see Lulu, and then we picked up this week where he was, and is like, so when were you going to tell me that our son shot the head of the WSB? And she's playing all stupid.
After I write an article about it or so.
Right? This is why I was wondering, why did Rocco's blood not hit against Dante's or anyone's? You're telling me that Luke or Lucky Spencer, Laura, none of them are in CODIS anywhere?
Right.
But then she tells him that Nathan said not to tell.
And
that Nathan was first on the scene. And Lulu claims that she didn't bring it to him because of what happened with Michael.
Yeah.
She was a word that we don't use on this show this week. And it made me double down on what I said last week about her. It's like, she's not thinking about her kids. She's thinking about herself because, she's the one who, made him choose choose Jason over Rocco, essentially. But he's like, do you really think that the WSB is not going to figure this out if I did?
Right.
He's trying to figure out how to protect Rocco. And then he calls Nathan, quote unquote, Nathan out for why didn't you tell me? And then I do give Nathan credit where he's like, well, we were trying to not make this as big of a deal as it's becoming. Like we thought that we could very quickly handle it. And Dante got mad at him for, what did he say? What did he say about, Nathan said something about he was hiding it from him for a reason.
So that he didn't have to choose between protecting his son or getting rid of the evidence.
Yes. And Dante was like, I don't even know you at all. It's like I don't even know you at all. Foreshadowing. Yeah. And then Dante talks to Rocco and is like, and he also called Lulu out on that. And he's like, you did not let me be a dad.
Right.
Oh, that was it. She was like, I didn't want you to have to choose between the badge and, when has Dante ever put, no. So Charlotte and Danny were at the boathouse and Rocco, and they were talking about Rocco, about how weird he's been lately. And then he comes up on them and they're like, yeah, we're going to try to go to Spoon Island and try to find evidence to try to find Jason. And Rocco loses it and is like, if you guys try, I'm going to tell. And then they kind of get mad at him. Poor Danny, though.
I know.
Oh,
I felt so bad because he's like, I'm trying to save my parents. You don't have to worry, or my one parent that's left. You don't have to worry about that because you have your parents, but I need to get this done. And Rocco's just standing there like, I know something, but I can't tell you. And I feel so awful for you because you're right, but you're also wrong. Like your dad took this for me. So,
yeah. And then Dante later, he saw him at the boathouse, right? Is that where Dante saw him too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And told him, and then Rocco was like, well, why aren't you arresting me? And he's like, well, I'm your dad. And he actually talked through like why he was there for Britt, because that was the thing too, is that Lulu's still why does he care about her? First of all, it really doesn't matter why he does.
Right.
He does. You need to deal with it or else you're going to lose your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, Dante reassures him that Jason and Britt would be dead if he didn't do what he did. And that hurting someone by shooting them always hurts, even when you're a cop, when you're a spy, when it's something you're quote unquote supposed to be doing.
Right.
It never, I guess, essentially never gets easier. Then Rocco said something about, well, why were you guys fighting? You guys want to send me away. And Dante's like, we don't want to send you away. And I'm like, if we just sent him to be with Lucky, I know we said Kevin, Lucky knows how to deal with Sidwell.
Right.
Honestly, the safest place he could be right now would be with Lucky.
Yep.
Because that keeps Dante out of it. And because then Lulu also summoned Britt and was like, I know what happened. And Britt's like, okay, that's great.
And
what are you doing about it?
That was like where Britt was at. And she was like, you got my son into all this danger. And Britt's like, he followed me. I had no idea. It wasn't my fault. And Lulu is like, yes, it is. He just wanted to be there for you. And so then he did what he did, and now he's stuck in this cycle for the rest of his life. It's all your fault. And I'm like, Lulu, sit back and look at the big picture. Britt didn't try to pull him into this. Like, right. She was trying to protect him. She's been pushing him away even after he's been screaming about he wants a relationship.
And that's what Britt said. Because Lulu was like, you need to stay away from him to protect him, blah, blah. And Britt's like, what do you think I've been trying to do? Like, I told him to stay away from me. I've told him, she has mentioned that he needs to distance himself. Just bad.
Lulu's just ridiculous because things have to go her way 100%, or she refuses to even see the other side of it. She did kind of acknowledge that Britt cared, and Britt got excited and was like, oh, so you understand that I care about him. And then she went right back to, oh yeah, you care about him, but you are the one that pulled him into this life. I'm like, oh my gosh, Lulu, she didn't. She's trying to stay alive, and she's trying to keep your kid alive too.
And it was after that is when the fight happened with Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte. And where did Rocco go? To Britt.
Yes, exactly. And he like hysterically is saying to Britt, please don't send me away. I just need someone to talk to. That was sad. But it was very sweet then. Like the couple you would have never thought that you were going to see together. We see Britt drinking with Lucas, and she says something about having there's no use for her anymore, so maybe she should just go away because things will never get better. And then she flashes back to Rocco being like, please don't leave me. And at the same time, he is like, no, you couldn't disappear. I need you to be here. And so then she gets to tease him about how he's begging her not to leave. I thought, oh man, I wish Brad could be in on this. Like, it would have been his dream come true seeing the two of them sitting there bantering back and forth, doing some shots.
Yep. And it was sweet that they were just like talking about Marco. She needs the stuff. She needs to do the projects to live, and I like that he said that, like, but you won't get your medication if you don't keep doing this. And so that way it wasn't just, I won't get out of you what I need out of you. It's like, you also will not be okay.
Yes.
He's had a lot of good stuff this week because also he was who Liz was talking to about the two healthy men have a stroke at the same house within 3 months of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking, Liz was so sweet. So at the beginning of the week, Liz was getting ready for her weekend away with Rick, and she was trying to catch Rocco before he was done with his community service. And she tells him he's getting great feedback and is like, I'm always here for you, no matter what you need, whatever you want to talk about, whether it's work related or not. Was gently asking about his hut,
mm-hmm.
And was like, if you want me to ever look at it, just let me know. If it gets worse, if the pain gets worse, because he said that he was having some pain in it still, that he could go to her. And then later in the week, Liz goes to Dante's office, all dressed up very nicely.
Yes.
And okay, I understand that people have been saying, and you've been saying it too, I have not seen the potential of Liz and Dante until this week. When he looked at her and was just like, wow, you look nice. It was.
And then she had to ruin it and be like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go on a date with Rick.
Yeah. But I thought it was really nice how she reassured him, but also like shared her experience as, Rocco's dealing with this trauma, and at a young age, it can change him, and he has no idea how it's changing him right now. So,
right.
Also, we found out that there was no record of Rocco's visit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I kind of figured that's how she was going to keep that. I mean, Lulu said, can we keep this under the radar?
Oh, and she mentioned Gail. We haven't heard Gail talked about in a while because she said that it was Bobby and Lucky and Audrey. And we haven't heard Audrey actually mentioned in a while either. And Gail.
Yeah. I was surprised she didn't mention Emily when she said Lucky. Because at first it was like, okay, maybe she's just doing adults. But I felt like her and Emily were friends during all that time.
I don't think they were. Not while she was processing her rape. She was still relatively new. She and Emily became friends afterwards, once she and Lucky got close, but I don't think Emily was there. Geez, you would think we would know. We just basically did the whole episode about it like a year and a half ago. Because remember, I mean, she was getting ready for the dance, and I feel like if she and Emily had been friends at that point, she would not have been by herself.
That makes sense. They would have got ready
to the
together.
Dance, like you would have gone with your girlfriend, like to meet.
Yeah.
That's what we did back in the 90s.
That is. But I thought it was sweet that she said to Dante, but I didn't have my parents back then.
Yes.
And that is one thing that Rocco has is you and Lulu on his side. That's going to make a huge difference. And I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Very. I think that might be it. What did Willow barge in to talk to Michael about?
She didn't get to get into it, right?
Okay.
We never saw it.
I don't think so. The only thing I had written was Willow barges in to see Michael.
Yeah, it was after she had seen Sidwell and he like put his foot down that he was in charge. And so she came barging in without even really knocking, and he was caught off guard. But I don't think we ever saw what it was that she wanted, but she insisted, I need a moment with you. And then that was the end of it. I would have rather that they stuck with that storyline than all of the Curtis and Portia and Jordan stuff, though, because I'm over that storyline. I'm sorry. I'm so tired of hearing
synopsis.
I mean, I feel like it's the same as it's been the past 3 weeks. It's just in a different setting. We see, first we had a nice moment of Trina talking about planning the baby shower and deciding if Jordan should be invited or not. And Portia is like, well, I don't want her to feel like she has to come, but it would be okay if she came because she's going to be a part of the baby's life. And I'm just not sure, how to handle that or whatever. And then we do see Isaiah being questioned by Turner. I thought that was weird. I don't know what he's doing or what. I don't. I know they always say the police are trying to ask you questions no matter what. Your first comment should be, let me get an attorney. But I feel like in that circumstance, I would have been like, okay, you're asking me about the accident. I was at the cabin and then I had to see a private patient that I'm not going to tell you who it was. And then I went back to the cabin. I never witnessed an accident.
He did say later on that he didn't put two and two together, that it was the same night that he wasn't putting it together. I mean, he might not have really actually realized that it was the same night until this moment.
Right. So I feel like if that was me, I would have absolutely said, this is where I was. This is where I was. I didn't see an accident. I'm almost positive I didn't cause an accident. And yeah, there's damage to my car because I hit it in the garage the other day. And you can see I came in all grumpy, complaining to the people at the nurse's desk that I just hit the wall. It's like not a setup, dude. Go ahead and take my
I'm sure the parking garage has cameras.
Right. And paint on the side of the wall that you could scratch off and see it matches Isaiah's.
Yep.
And like he said, I mean, he did have a good point. He was like, I know enough about police investigations to know you don't have anything or you wouldn't be asking me these questions. You'd have a warrant to test my car. And how many other black cars are there in Port Charles? Like, give me a break.
Black BMWs.
Yeah. But I don't understand why he was so abrasive about it.
Well, I think it was because of how nasty she was getting with, if you don't want to, it's the whole, if you don't want to answer my questions, then you're probably guilty. If you have nothing to hide, then you'll just let us do this. And it's like, no, that's not, I'm not just going to let you go through my phone. I'm not just going to let you, no.
I agree with that if they would have been trying to dig further, but I feel like a basic explanation of, no, that wasn't me. And I'm almost 100% positive, but on the same time here, you can prove it by looking at my car. I don't know.
He didn't, I don't think, as soon as he realized where they were going, he shut down and asked for the attorney. It wasn't even, listen, I wasn't there. I wasn't involved with that, but I'm not going to talk anymore until I see my attorney. Because then Curtis goes in and talks to her and he's like, he's refusing to cooperate. It just makes him look even more guilty. And I used to be a cop, so I should know what guilt looked like. And, it was so suspicious because he refused to leave Jordan's room. He cares about her. Yeah. No, Curtis, I just don't like how on it Curtis is. And then Isaiah goes to Portia and is like, they were questioning me about the accident. And she says, well, that's crazy because I know that wasn't you. And he thanks her for knowing that it wasn't him, that he wouldn't have left. And then later we see them out to dinner and him apologizing that they couldn't have a baby moon because he needs to be there for a surgery. And she lets him feel the baby kick, or as they're at that dinner, before we see the baby kick, as they're at that dinner, then they flip back over to Jordan and Curtis is going on about even if they can't prosecute him the right way, he's going to make sure that he's taken care of, and he doesn't want that kind of person around his baby and whatever. And then they cut back to the dinner and you see her saying that the baby's kicking and Isaiah puts his hand on her stomach, and then Curtis comes in and flips out, get your hand off my baby, and says, I'm just protecting what's mine. And Portia's like, excuse me? And then they go back and forth and have the conversation of him saying, stay out of my business. Well, why aren't you answering stuff? But then Isaiah did absolutely cross a line and says, I am going to be a better father to that baby than you ever could be. And Curtis punches him right in the face. I don't even think, I think he definitely was implying that, but I feel like there was a tiny dig at the fact that he was not a father to Trina when she was younger. Right. There was something in the way that he phrased that it was like, oh, you just went there. Although, what does Curtis think he is holding on to while they're in bed? Right. I'm sorry. Does he think that he's laying behind Portia, not holding the belly? I don't know. This might be TMI, but I remember, you're cuddling, the guy has his arms around your belly. Yeah. And I'm sorry. This was not the first time that he felt that baby kick. He's due tomorrow. Right. Exactly. That baby has probably kicked him in the back a few times. Right. Sorry. I just remember like I'd be cuddled up on my ex and the baby would kick and he'd be like, can you tell it to stop? And I'm like, no, I have no control over this thing.
Right. And it's just as much yours as it is mine. So you try to parent it while it's in the womb. See how well that works for you.
Right. But yeah, it was just, and Curtis said something about how, obviously Isaiah would have tried to do the repair. So he's going to look for receipts. Like, and he made it sound like Isaiah was going to buy auto paint and doing a repair himself.
Right.
Like he's not going to Lowe's or Advanced Auto or O'Reilly or AutoZone.
Right. Like you're not spray painting your BMW, bro. You're getting that professionally.
No, he's getting it professionally done. Yeah. But I am thankful though. Feel like we're finally starting to see Jordan talk about herself in a way that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
So she even said this week something about like, I'm not trying to be vain. And I'm like, for once I believe you because the past couple weeks I have.
Yes. She had a nice conversation with Molly.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Yes. And Molly apologized for the distance between them and said, I know it's not your fault. It was totally me, but I'm sorry. And you have always been such a resilient, resourceful person. And that has made me want to be like that too. And so, I'm here for you if there's anything that I can do to help with all of this.
She said that she brought her an orchid because it was like something, something, something. And it reminded her of her. And Jordan's like, they're also tough to kill. No, they're not. They are super, super easy to kill.
I mean,
I feel like the most specific, as somebody who killed one.
I feel like I would kill everything. So
and had the timer for my light. Like I looked up websites. I had the plant food. I had the light. I was doing everything to a T. I had timers and everything, and it still died. You could kill them pretty darn easily. That annoyed me. It's not like they're hostas. You can't kill hostas. I have literally burned hostas, and they still came back. Hi, kitty. You kissing the TV or the phone?
I had my phone down so I can take a drink, so she had to look over, like, what am I possibly doing?
Yeah, but I think that's that about all that ridiculousness.
Oh, we also had Turner visit Jordan. I think that's who she was talking to a little more like openly about everything. And then she finally, with Curtis there, she finally took the bandage off. And it's still, I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset. I would obviously be upset if something happened to my face, but she's a beautiful woman. Even with that mark on her cheek, I wouldn't call that disfigured. Like,
that's the mark that we saw.
Right.
So it's the one that she has also seen. I feel like it would have made more sense for her neck to have been still bandaged and covered.
Right.
And then taken that off and seen the burns and the scarring and all that. Like that, because also she would feel it. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't feel it on her cheek, but like we have been looking at her cheek having that kind of a Y scar for weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
They could have held off on the burns.
Right.
And to have that be the big release that, or the big reveal that, she would have felt that. And then like we wouldn't have seen it. And then it would have made sense because she also felt like she was disfigured. But we didn't see any of that. It's like she had nothing on her. She really had no bandages except for the one around her head. And then when they finally took that off, but it's like they finally started to add the ones on her neck and everything. But we saw the one on her cheek like the whole time.
Right.
Oh, and Sonny and Turner talked at the Metro Court Gardens because we found out that Rick was just buying Elizabeth a piece of art.
Yeah. That doesn't convince me that Rick's not working with Sidwell at all.
Nope.
But
I don't think Ava's involved though.
Right. I don't think Ava was involved. So it was nice to see that Ava really was just about getting a piece of art in a sketchy way. And that, I mean, Ethan was right. He saw them talk and then he saw her go back and sit with Sidwell. And so I love that she was just like, no, that's not what happened. Like, yes, that's what happened, but that's not what happened. I was sitting with Sidwell and then I got up to talk to Rick and then I returned to my dinner. I wasn't reporting to Sidwell. And there's no involvement there. And so then they took Ava out to the car so that Ethan could watch her and like intimidate her some. And finally Rick was like, if you could just open the briefcase, like I promise you there's nothing shady going on here.
Well, he says to Sonny, you know me. And I'm like, the second he said that, I went, that is not a reassurance, dude.
Exactly. You're not getting bonus points there, buddy. And Sonny basically said that. He was like, yeah, that's my fear. I want to be able to trust you. And Rick said, like the way you used to trust Jason. Yeah, that's what he wants. So he bought the art. Yeah, he bought the art for Liz. And it was part of an estate that shouldn't have been being sold off yet. And that's why it was all hush hush and sketchy. But then
trying to keep the assets from being counted in his divorce.
Right. But then we see Rick at the restaurant and Alexis comes in and she kind of jokes with him about, oh, I thought you were trying to woo me back. And he's like, no, but there was a good part of our relationship and that was Molly. And so then he says he wants to plan a party for her book release. And she says, oh, but Sonny's going to be there because he loves Molly. Is that going to be an issue for you? And Rick's like, oh, so I guess Sonny came to you. And she says, oh, surprisingly, I told Sonny that I thought that you really were trying to be his brother and be good, that this wasn't some backstabbing thing.
Yeah, which means that it totally is.
Exactly. And then she leaves and Liz shows up and is like all impressed with the fancy setup and everything. And then he gives her the present and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. That was so thoughtful. It was so expensive. And then she stands up and kisses him in the middle of the restaurant. And I'm like, oh, stop, Liz.
Yep.
I don't like them together. Friends, yes. Like I can see their chemistry as friends and I'm okay with that. But whenever they start kissing, I'm like, oh, gross. I would much prefer. I never thought I would say it because I didn't like it when I thought they were trying to start it, but I would much prefer her with Dante than back with Rick.
For someone just hopping on the blocking it, I liked her and Dante this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when Ethan had Ava out in the car and she's like, this is how you treat a poor defenseless woman? He's like, you're Ava Jerome.
Right.
And she was like, I do not appreciate mansplaining, especially when it comes from a boy.
Yeah, she's a little harsh with him.
He was possibly going to wind up killing her. I don't blame her for being a little upset.
But he didn't. She's fine.
He didn't. But then he calls Kristina and they get together at the Metro Court. And he's like, so there's a family situation. And what did she think it was at first? She thought it was something. And then he said, no. So I started like working for your dad. And I think I got on Rick's bad side. And she's like, oh, my family. But, he's asking for essentially her opinion of how to stay on Sonny's good side, how to kind of make peace with Rick. And she was like, no one really likes Rick, Molly and maybe Elizabeth.
Right.
But he's worried that Rick is going to now be gunning for him. And at the same time, that's when Alexis and Chase and Brook Lynn are meeting. And she's like, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the baby. It's just 3 months of the child has to be a ward of the state for 3 months before it's even eligible to be adopted. And then they, try to find the next qualified parent. And she said that if there's anything that you guys might be uncovered, you might want to get ahead of it now.
Yep.
And then Kristina came over and Brook Lynn let her hold the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And
refresh my memory, though. I know that you don't look at things on the internet as much as I see them because you don't want spoilers, which I love, and also try to stay away from spoilers. But I keep seeing this theory pop up that people are saying that Phoebe is going to be Kristina's baby. Like there was extra embryos. And I was like, I don't remember us talking about extra embryos whenever they made TJ and Molly's baby.
This doesn't make sense.
Right? I mean, they would have to be like redoing the whole Lulu situation all over again. Like someone stole an embryo and here we go, whatever.
Did she might have frozen some for her and Blaze, thinking, all right, real quick, on General Hospital, Kristina Corinthos did not freeze embryos.
Okay.
She was the egg donor. That's right, because they harvested while she was ovulating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened? No. They didn't harvest anything. So
that was where I was angry was when they
Yeah.
first started talking about the procedure, they were saying it was an IUI, which would use Kristina's egg and TJ's stuff and whatever, because they couldn't use Molly's eggs because of whatever, which I still don't understand the connection between her having endometriosis and not being able to harvest her eggs. But I'm not a specialist on any of that, so I don't know. And
You
I have
think
no
there could be
experience
trauma to
with
her
that.
body from that?
Maybe. I have no idea because I was lucky I never had to deal with any of that stuff. But then it was like after she conceived, because I remember very vividly complaining about this, they started talking about it like, oh, IVF. And I was like, no, IVF and IUI are two complete different things. For IVF, they would have to put her on meds and harvest her eggs and then fertilize them outside of her body and put them back in. They never did any of that. It was just an IUI. So yeah, I'm glad that you are on the same page of that's not how it happened, because I keep seeing these different speculations that like they took some of her eggs, and I'm like, there was never eggs out of her body as far as
Right.
I recall it happening.
No, she was fertilized.
Right.
And yeah, short of it being done the old fashioned way, the next best way, not the next best thing, but there was, according to Google, Molly's eggs were just deemed unviable due to her diagnosis of endometriosis.
Okay.
So yeah,
all right.
No,
I mean, not to say
zero sense.
Right. Not to say that GH can't flip it and turn it into some crazy way because they can write however they want to write. But I saw multiple things that were saying either the baby was another one of her embryos, which doesn't make sense because it was IUI. That was her baby, which doesn't make sense because her baby would be a year now, not a few months. Or that was the baby that TJ and Molly had used the surrogate for, which also wouldn't make sense because that baby would be over a year by now.
Yeah.
So, okay. I just want to make sure that
I'm with you. No, I think that baby's Ethan's. Well, because then she was like, oh, I didn't let you hold the baby. And he's like, no, it's okay. Do you think that Phoebe's going to be happy with Brook Lynn and Chase?
Yep. It was like, okay,
that's a dad thing to say.
Yep.
I think it's going to wind up being Ethan and Kristina co-parent.
Oh, that would be cute. So they're going to have to work their way through the fact that Chase and Brook Lynn can't have her because of the influence of Willow. And then Ethan will step up and say, hey, I'm the dad. Don't put her in the system. And then Kristina can help. That would be so cute.
Yeah, that's kind of where.
Okay, I'm
thinking because the look on his face too when he found out about Irene, and Irene's mentioned twice in 1 week.
Yeah. Okay, I'll allow it. Yeah, I like that.
Me too.
I hate for Brook Lynn to be sad about it, but Chase is just being too stupid, so I'm sorry.
Well, and I'm sure that they will let Brook Lynn be involved in the baby's life, but
yeah,
as far as parenting, but Brook Lynn also is getting Katrina signed up for the showcase, and Gio's going to play for her. And Gio is so sweet because he's like, they're going to think that you're just asking me to play for her because of who I am. And she's like, no, trust me. In my circle, everyone knows, like, I would not have even considered you if you were not good.
Right. She has the reputation to be able to pull strings.
Exactly. And she has integrity and credibility and a professional reputation that people make their decisions on, not just, well, my husband's in a coma and I just got acquitted of murdering or trying to murder him. So I'm going to be a politician.
Right.
Ooh, we briefly touched on it that when Carly was talking to Nina at the hospital about all the reasons why. I love when she was like, were you hiding Valentin? Then she threatened the press. What's going to happen when the press finds out that Valentin has been at Willow's house? But then Nina was like, wait a second, Brennan and Valentin were arguing over Joss. And why would Valentin or Brennan even be asking any questions about Joss? So then we saw Joss locked up, and Cassius wound up bringing her a deck of cards because she was like, I need something that stimulates my brain, whatever. And she's playing him.
Oh, absolutely.
She's saying that he's vulnerable, that he wants to be part of this family, but we're still not getting any answers because he said something about how, and now this contradicts what we said last week, because there have been times where it sounds like he's ready to let Britt die. Then she's like, well, why are you even working with Sidwell and Cullum? And he's like, because it's the only way to keep my sister alive.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's saying about how he's lying and lying to James most of all, and also Liesel and everything. And she's like, if you play this right, you can get everything that you want, and everyone will be essentially fine that Nathan's really dead.
Right.
What?
It just shows how naive she is, that she thinks that she can just sweet talk him and he's suddenly going to be like, oh, yeah, let's work together. That sounds great. She doesn't have enough experience. And he's been trapped in his dad's world his entire life. Like, he can't just flip a switch and be like, okay, because she's like, we'll go to Brennan. And he's like, yeah, Brennan's not an option for either one of us. And then she says, well, we could go to Dante. And he's like, I don't think I trust Dante because he is here for Nathan, not here for me.
Right.
I don't know. I'll be interested to see how that all develops because, yeah, I can't figure out exactly how good or bad he is, because one moment he does seem like he'd actually like a sincere life, and then the next minute he's not being good.
Yep. And then earlier in the week we saw Charlotte went to, and this was before everything happened, Charlotte went to see Carly and was bringing Donna books, was her rooms, and Carly was like, he's not here, and she's like, oh my gosh, is he on the run? Stupid Carly, come on. You knew that you should have preempted it with your dad had to go see Nina.
Right.
Valentin gets back there and is like, you're right, Nina double-crossed me. Carly, he tells Carly about Brennan, and that's how she winds up going to the hospital and everything. But he's like, Cullum's going to be so much more dangerous now that Jack's out of commission. So then on Friday, when Valentin had returned home again, or he had already been there, either way, she and Valentin were talking, and the doorbell rang, and it's Cullum.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there. Oh, Carly had been telling him that Nina was telling her Brennan and Valentin were talking about Joss. And Cullum is asking for information about Jason. And he's like, we have a file on Jason. We know what good of friends you are. We know that he would do anything for you. And she's like, yeah, but he also doesn't really tell me stuff.
And you guys hauled him away instantly. I didn't even have time to talk to him.
Exactly. She said he must have been, no, she didn't. She didn't say that. She said that if Jason said that he shot you, and Cullum was like, yeah, but he must be protecting someone, and turns around and there's a picture of Danny.
Yeah.
And Jason. And he's going to think it's Danny.
He is. He absolutely is. She did good about not giving anything away, though, because he was like, I was facing Jason and I got shot in the back, so that doesn't make any sense. And she was like, cool, you can let him go. And he's like, well, no, because I want to know what's going on. So who would he protect? And she's like, I don't know. That's all your fault because you wouldn't let me talk to him. So.
Well, she does not know that it's Rocco, though, right?
She doesn't know that it's Rocco, but she knows that it wasn't Jason.
It was someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that was left was just Tracy and Laura.
Oh, they were sweet.
Ezra was in Laura's office and they're talking about the helipad, and Tracy comes in and is leading up the campaign against the helipad and everything. And Tracy had Ezra's gym membership revoked, quoting that he doesn't wipe down gym equipment and takes calls in the sauna.
Yeah.
I wish gyms actually did that.
Right.
But Laura was very, very clear about, listen, I have to go about this the right way. And she was saying this stuff in front of Ezra too. So I think that also might have given Tracy a little bit of, shoot, she's saying this stuff in front of Ezra. So maybe he's kind of okay.
Right. He's stuck too. Yeah.
She says, feel like this is one of the times that Luke would tell me to trust you. And Laura was just like, it is.
Yeah. It was very sweet because, she's like, I don't understand why you would just hand the city over to him. He's a horrible person. And she's like, yeah, we all want Sidwell out of here. I'm not trying to hand it over to him. I'm just trying to be complacent to get him to where I can push him out. And Tracy's like, don't you know that never works? And I just love that they can talk like that now. Like, be open and honest, like friends but can argue about what matters to them.
They're like sisters.
Yes.
I think that's it. Yeah. I don't think
I can't think of anything else now.
Reality check.
How was your week?
Well, I said I watched The Outsiders for the first time. So that's very exciting. Madeline was very upset at the ending because they haven't finished the book in school yet. So I think she knew it was coming, but she was very upset once he died. And it's funny because we watch, I think I've talked about it before on here, even the game show The Floor, and Rob Lowe is who is the person in charge of it. And so as we're watching the movie, I'm like, that right there, that's the guy that does The Floor. And she's like crushing hard on some of these boys, and I'm like, they're literally old enough to be like your grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Stop.
Yeah.
And she's only seeing them for what they are in the movie, which is fine. But it's very cute. She's very into it. So we did that. This is our last week of dance until the middle of the summer. So I'm so happy. She has her recital on Sunday. And then we're done for a little bit. So that's exciting. And then I started my new job, which is exciting, except for right now they have me starting at 6 a.m. and I'm not a morning person. So it has been riding the struggle bus, getting out of bed. And I have been on time. So I'm proud of myself. But I can't wait for them to be like, okay, we're switching you over to a little bit later schedule, because I'm not a 6 a.m. person. But yeah, other than that, that's really it. I'm pretty boring. How about you?
Kind of the same. A lot of work this week. My daughter graduated from that independent living program.
Yay!
The pilot program. So she was one of, I think there were 6 young adults in it. Super, super, super high level. But the past 12 weeks have just been great. You know, it's great to see what they have in mind to dig deeper into for the full program when it comes about. But they had superlatives, and she got most grounded for, let me see if I took a picture of it. It was for being her most authentic self and advocating for her needs, I think is what
nice.
It was. And I was like, very nice. I love hearing that. Yeah, so it was exactly that. Okay, how about that? Mom got the award for paying the most attention. I don't want to say she graduated. She completed, like she got a certificate of completion. We had it was closing ceremonies was Monday. And it was nice to be able to talk to like the other parents and everything too. And then had a lot of running around. And then tonight, JD and I met friends at it's typically been monthly, but I don't think we've actually been since February just because of all the traveling and everything. We don't always necessarily sit together because we live together. So, you know, if he wants to go talk to certain people, he goes and talks to certain people, and I talk to certain people, and we sit at my friend said her spot is the very corner of the bar. And so like we sit kind of in an L, you know, but towards the end, like some people had left. So like he came over and sat next to me, and then I got up to go to the bathroom right before we left. And I guess when I came back, he and my friend are sitting there, and they're like, so someone else she knew was in the restaurant, and they came up and they were like, is that girl married?
What?
I am not wearing makeup. I was kind of like, I'm not bumming it, but you know, it's definitely not like dressed all cute and everything. And my friend was like, yeah, that's her husband. Like the guy she's sitting next to. So that was nice.
That is nice. Congratulations.
Like, yes, because why were we just talking about this? That like you don't get hit on after a certain age. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Very nice.
Like, sweet. So yeah. And then tomorrow I have an open house, but it's supposed to be super warm. So when I get done, hopefully I can have my first day in the pool, because I did not do it. This is the first year since we've had the pool that my first day was not Mother's Day, because Mother's Day was crappy.
I can't imagine why you weren't swimming on Mother's Day.
even just listen, I am one that I would do it for like 5 minutes just to get in and get out, but I was not doing it.
No, it was way too cold.
Very much. So yeah. But yeah, that's it. So I guess join us on Thursday as we talk about Chase and Willow.
It's going to be crazy going back those couple of years to all of that drama.
And it wasn't even that long ago, though.
I know. It's horrible. So, all right. Have a good week.
And we'll meet at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.